Vosaku called for the cheapest meal, but when the cashier found out it was less than $1, he begged the owner if he could sell it a little cheaper, but the owner insisted on throwing the rice in the middle of the bowl. He let go and didn't want to take him to eat. Get out of here. Don't make people sad anymore. Hurry up. Okay, I'll be right there. All he can do is lean on a pile of delicious food in the trash bin to spend a night. Luckily, the next day when he was singing, along the road he met his father. This time his lunch can be full. It's just that the father seems to be in a hurry to get out of there. He is afraid that his son will be in time, but he was still found out. The father cried and wanted to hide the worry in his heart, but the son still said a difficult sentence to him. The son said that Christmas is coming. Can you come home for a meal? The father didn't have time to say anything, so the mother immediately refused. In her eyes, it was all hate. When a child with such a low status can't stand the smell coming from a British man. But even so, before leaving, the father still left a note for his son. That's because of a part of guilt in his heart. But the man didn't give up easily because of that. Because in his heart, love occupies an important position. That is also his responsibility. Christmas Eve, he hurriedly came to his father's house. After a while of careful thinking, he took all the courage to knock on the door. But the moment the door opened, the father's smile immediately froze. His face was full of disbelief and trembling. When he walked into the guest room, he was still expecting a warm feeling and the welcome of the family. Who would have thought that he was just an unintentional expression of the two sisters' guests? Mom doesn't like you. Mom said you are a useless name. And the father showed more and more dissatisfaction. I can't stay here anymore because the family is about to have guests. Or maybe the coldness and sobbing of his father made him feel the pain of not being able to speak. He was forced to leave where he was, called his home. But when he returned to his cheap rented house, the bedroom sounded strangely. He had to know that this house was only for him. Obviously, the house had a burglar breaking in. He was so scared that the whole crowd stood up. Who is there? You'd better get out of here as soon as possible. The words he said to show his fear could not be hidden. His body was also trembling. In the chaos, he held his slippers as a weapon. But when he pushed the door of the bedroom open, he didn't see anyone. When he was confused, he didn't know why. After getting ready, he went to the kitchen to check a fan. At that time, the name of that burglar made a noise again. It turned out to be a cute cat. His heart was finally put down. It turned out that you made that noise. Maybe the kindness in the cat was also because of his experience of bad feelings when his body was trembling. He had a deep empathy for the cat, who suddenly rushed into this house. He was not like a normal person who chose to chase it away. On the contrary, he did not hesitate to take the rest of the milk in the house and pour it out for it. He did not stop looking at the cat. This was the first time he felt close to other animals. But then his eyes became sad again because he guessed that this cat was just not careful enough to get lost but not abandoned by his family like him. There must be someone worried about him. So after a full meal, James opened the window to take him home. But he did not expect that the cat, Quick, seemed to not want to leave the small house for the time being. He turned his head and looked at James. His eyes were full of pity. Maybe his heart was too lonely, so James decided to leave it at home for one night. At night, James even sang a song for the cat Quick. He used his song to tell about two lonely souls. When the song ended, the cat, Quick, did not hesitate to jump on his warm bed. Then he dove deep into his sleep. Early the next day, James took the cat, Quick, to the door of each house to visit. But unfortunately, no one stood up to receive this beloved cat Quick. James had no choice but to let it go. In fact, he also sympathized with the fact that it was a wandering cat. He was once confident, but the cruel reality did not stop him from facing the truth. He could not even raise himself. So why did he have the energy to raise another cat? But their fate was not over yet. After he picked up the cat, James stood by the road and finished singing. But today's work was not as smooth as usual. He just sang for a while and was accidentally kicked out by the guard. In the middle of the night, when he crawled back home with a tired body, he accidentally found the cat sitting right in front of the house. When he moved closer, he found that the cat was still injured. He hurriedly packed up and carefully hugged the cat in his heart. But because he could not find the owner of the cat, he only asked for the help of the neighbor girl Betty to help the cat deal with the simple wound. Then he told James. She told James to go to the hospital for free treatment. Fortunately, the little cat was treated very quickly. The heavy stone in James's heart was finally placed. But when he was going to say, "Thank you" to the doctor, he was surprised to be shocked by the news. Treatment is free, but the medicine will cost money. The price of the medicine rose to £22. For an immigrant, this is no different from the number in the sky. This is the money for a week of my meal. If you want to buy. But the kinder person will not be able to stand and watch others suffer. He decided to use the money for the next week to exchange for the strength of the cat's blood. But the problem was in the back. This blood cat did not know how to thank. It decided not to take the medicine. In front of James's goodwill, the cat bit his hand. When he did not know what to do, he only asked for help from Betty. Unexpectedly in front of Betty, the cat was extremely obedient. She told the cat to take the medicine. While the two were talking, they gave the cat the easy-to-hear name Bob. Bob made the connection, so James and Betty started talking more. Betty told James that there are many people in this society who abuse flour. What she hates the most in this life is those evil things. When asked about James's situation, James said he did not sign a contract with the company, but was a freelancer. He said so because he did not want Betty to hate him. Actually, James is just a singer, also a longtime flour abuser. In the morning, he relied on singing to earn a little income. At night, he used the money for that cat's blood to exchange for a little short time to rest happily. Life for him that seemed to have no future also had no meaningful happiness. Although he used to want to break free from the chains of fate to get rid of the bad habits that made him sad and sad. But after a few dozen times, the result was still a failure. Sometimes good-hearted friends would invite him to get in the car at night and share with him familiar things, but could not resist. James refused. But the next day, he was unconscious in the car. It seems that James's life can only be like that. But luckily now he has a little cat. The next day, James went out to sing, like every day. But Bob followed him like a shadow. He was afraid that he would not be able to take good care of Bob outside, so he let him stay in the house. The cat was very clingy. It clung to James's tail on the bus. Passers-by all felt that the cat was suddenly so cute. He let the cat smile. The air on the bus was also so warm. Bob on the first floor did not see James's shadow. He hurried to the second floor to look for him. Fortunately, he found the owner here. James just put it in front of the window to let it look at this bustling city, because to avoid Bob going around, passers-by on the bus brought a rope to make a chain for it. After getting off the bus, the person passed by. Bob looked around. He used his curious eyes to look at this new world. James was worried that Bob would be scared, so he reluctantly bent down to let Bob jump on his shoulder. Just like that, a pair of a unique but magical cat came to life. Ordinary days. The crowds of people passed by. Almost no one paid attention to the young man, confused on the side of the road. But today, this unique couple has attracted the eyes of countless people. People suddenly slowed down. Everyone smiled brightly at this couple. People passed by one after another to invite them to take a picture together. People cheered, donated money, and encouraged them. Now Bob is like a little star. He will bow his head to express his gratitude. The song ended James's harvest. Only the income today has been able to help him live peacefully for a week. Do you know, you are a lovely little animal. The sun sets and both of them return. By bus, James also specially chose a new rope for Bob. Not only that, they also went to the supermarket together to choose the food that Bob liked. From that day on the way to London, passers-by saw a scene every day. A man led a cat to sing along the road, showing their special music story. Sometimes the cat will sit quietly on a guitar as if it were playing music. Sometimes it will sit quietly next to the owner and enjoy this quiet moment. But their performance gradually attracted the eyes and the love of more and more people. So James's life also took a turn. Since then, the more James and Betty meet and interact with each other, the relationship of both of them has also grown. That day, a friend used James's other outfit to come to his house. He was upset that James was not earning enough, so he wanted him to admit himself. James firmly refused this request, but the other friend still insisted. He begged James to give him some money to spend. Although James was embarrassed, he clearly knew that he could not use the money for this action. He told him not to bring money to buy things that would harm his health. But when he returned home, he found out that his worry had come true. His friend, who was awake at that time, was lying on the ground, and James's emotion fell to the ground. He immediately realized that it was because he had abused too much that he was in a coma. He hurriedly called the neighbors around to help. Betty heard his voice and hurriedly ran to him. She fell down to observe the situation on the ground, then immediately carried out CPR. When the ambulance arrived, the heart and breath of the other person stopped beating. The doctors tried their best to save him, but they could not. This scene made James and Betty extremely painful. They witnessed the scene of a life just like that. In the heart is a feeling of fear and pain without words. In the sad atmosphere, the girl told him a secret about herself. She hated him because her ex-brother used to be such a person. Her ex-brother was a bar painter, but since he got involved in that thing, the whole person became extremely bad right up to his death in the bathroom, where he was still used as that horrible person. His own death plus Betty's tragic story seemed like a heavy blow to James's heart. He once again determined to start over, but he did not dare to tell Betty that his truth was also a nameless name. So James was determined to find the doctor. hoping that he could end the chain with this thing. He wanted to use his determination and effort to start over. It was just that the doctor did not agree with his plea. She respectfully told him that this was not just about being able to do it. There were a lot of people who failed. In the end, she insisted that James had to slowly follow his treatment plan. After assessing her, James built for him a suitable treatment plan. But when James took the medicine, he was caught by Betty and saw how much he hated her for lying to him. The anger in Betty's heart was burning. She did not hesitate to run away from this place. James hurriedly ran to explain, but Betty was completely disappointed with him. She did not want to have any chain with this hateful name. The relationship between the two people was so bad that he did not follow his heart. James's anger quickly went down the drain. He was still, as usual, on the street, a man who thinks he is right. Following a dog, he even spat on James's bag, which the owner of the dog even expressed his disgust. This action made the passerby angry. It was not long before this story turned into a fight. The police soon saw that James was running to stop him. Although the camera proved James innocent, he was still punished for half a year for not going out to sing. His love and career were all in vain. Therefore, James lost a few months. A person once fell into his own weakness. That means they will continue to sink into that stupidity in the eyes of everyone. They fall down the road, fall to the ground, fall to a lower place. His mental state deteriorates and falls to the abyss. The darkness once again overwhelms his life. Looking at the crowd selling noodles outside the window, the pressure and desire has made him depressed. He went straight to the noodle shop, but the words to his lips tried to contain his shock. At this moment, next to James, there was only Bob. It became his only spiritual base. James knew clearly that he could endure hunger, but his cat could not, so he regained his spirit to look for a job selling newspapers. Unexpectedly, Bob, the talented cat, once again showed up. James's job quickly took off. The cute cat, like a male, attracted the attention of the people around him. Although they did not need to buy a magazine, they also willingly spent some money to have some photos with this cute cat. Bob was also very happy. He always took pictures with the customers. His cuteness and love attracted more and more people. Even journalists started to pay attention to this special couple. They even wanted to write a story about the story of a man and a cat living together on the internet. James's life also returned to its original course. In a few short days, he became a beautiful landscape on the streets of London. Only a beautiful day does not last long. Every time James's life gets better, there will always be difficulties. That day, they met a couple of mother and child. The boy really liked Bob. He asked his mother to buy Bob. The woman looked at the boy and began to be moral. She said James's income was not stable. The cat followed a homeless man like him to suffer. She offered a high price to show her sincerity, but James firmly disagreed. No matter how much the price is, he will not sell Bob because Bob is not his pet but a family member. The woman was so angry, she threw the magazine down to the ground. This reckless action caused Bob to have conditional reactions. It jumped out of James's shoulder and ran down to the ground, which was chased by the dog. By the time James reacted, it was too late. He searched everywhere, but he could not find Bob. A week later, James still did not give up his desire to find Bob. He did not have the mind to work. He did not dare to rest, so his spirit almost collapsed. The doctor advised him not to control his emotions, otherwise all efforts would be in vain. In despair, James hugged the guitar without singing. He looked at Bob's food plate like a soulless person selling noodles outside the window, as if waving his hand to call him. That terrible thought appeared in his head again, but he only needed to think about Bob's lovely face and his deep love for him. James once again could not control his emotions. "I am looking for my cat. I have a yellow cat. Do you see it?" His eyes blinked a little more, but luckily, he was calm again. Life is always more difficult than imagined, but maybe God is merciful. When he was tired and came home, he heard a familiar sound. He decided not to lose Bob again. "I am a wanderer, but my cat is not, because to have a better life is also for my life." James thought he was mentally prepared to quit smoking. He knew this road was very difficult, but because Bob willingly endured everything the doctor said, that within a week of quitting smoking, everyone would be in unimaginable pain. It was more painful than having a cold 100 times, but James decided to prepare really well. Previously, he hid his feet all over the street, but he had never been treated by others sincerely. Since Bob was there, people not only took the initiative to talk to him, but also called him with a very respectful nickname, the owner of Bob. This respect and recognition made him more determined to change himself. If you can't kill your friend in the end, you will be stronger before doing life again. James came to Betty to apologize for what he had hidden before. He also promised to wait after he succeeded. He will definitely make up for it. It was just Betty in the room who didn't answer him. James was just wandering around. Just when Betty opened the door, she said that during this time, she would bring him food and drinks. But James didn't want to bother her. First, he wanted to take responsibility for his wrongdoing. Second, he didn't want Betty to see his bad temper when he was treated. After preparing enough food for a week, James began to struggle with himself. At first, he intended to use playing the violin to distract attention. But not long after, he started to get hot, easily angry. Standing still, he left his hands lying on the ground, shaking non-stop. It seemed that there were hundreds of thousands of ants gnawing at his body. The most serious thing was that he even appeared in a suit. Looking at his crazy owner, Bob didn't run away. It was silent next to him. Time just passed by James's senses as if there was no more. Using a cold shower, he didn't feel cold at all. Fortunately, Bob's call ended this time. Until the next time, James's condition improved well. Until the morning that day, he just woke up. The sun shone on him, and he was the most comfortable and warm person. James looked at the image of the river and felt that this world had not changed a bit. But everything seemed to be changing a new layer. After the situation improved to the point that James was most disappointed was that his love had been lost for a long time. He just went out and found his father, extremely excited to tell him that he had successfully treated him. Then he apologized to his father for the mistakes he had made over the years. Over the years, his father looked at his son as if he had just come back to life. He didn't dare to believe his eyes. He was shaking in the picture that he had kept for so long. It was a picture of James when he was young, a simple smile. In fact, over the years, his father has always remembered his son just because his second wife interfered with the family. It made him unable to take full responsibility for a father. The reason why his father didn't abandon his son was because he felt ashamed of himself. He didn't know what to do and how to apologize to others. The last button of the two fathers was also removed. Jack was talking to him. He was talking to his son. Even his cat, a joke of how long the two fathers had been apart, was also removed. From then on, everything was good. James received an invitation from the publisher. They were going to write a book not long after the work was published. The new book was immediately famous. That day, in front of the book sign of the long line of people, Betty was also invited to the place to congratulate James' success. "I am very proud of you. Thank you for coming." The doctor and James's father, as well as the fans when he went to sing, came to the scene. They witnessed the miracle that James and Bob created and turned it into a very difficult process. Wanting to change himself needs extraordinary courage. Then during the signing, another James came to visit. "It's like every moment I've been through. It's great. Thank you." After being famous, James did not forget his original dream. He still stood at the beginning of the line singing along with Bob like a shadow. They walked through small alleys trying to win people's respect for the homeless and also contribute to the organization of charity for abandoned animals. In fact, the story is very simple, but if it really exists, it will not be simple anymore. In fact, the one who came to sign was James's brother, but Bob in the film was the one who participated in the production. This made the film more realistic and touching. Sometimes the love of humans and animals is more precious than human to human. Bob's cat became James's close friend. And so when Bob lost his love, James lost his soul. And when Bob was afraid of a big dog, James protected him at all costs. Life is like that. We always face some obstacles. We will also meet a lot of people. Sometimes difficulties will defeat you, but there will always be someone to pull you out of the mud. So the theme of this movie is happiness is not the end, but a winding road. And Bob is the one who leads you on the winding road. So keep a heart always beating until you find a companion who shares the same fate with you like a fruit. They step into the ball of your heart. It's a pity that a few years later, Bob had a car accident. His life was forever stopped at the age of 14. James was very sad. Finally, he wrote a sentence, "A ray of light has passed through my life. I will use the rest of my life to remember it." Today's story ends here. Thank you for watching the movie. How do you see this movie? Please comment below.